All right, guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Left Side View. This is the review episode with me, Rahul, and the fellow host Amitabh. So, Amitabh,
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode. So what we'll be doing is we'll be reviewing the weekend matches this time around again. This is a slight change now since there are three matches for in Italian Serie A later tonight. So we'll have the review episode of specifically Serie A in our next podcast. This time around, we'll only review England, Germany, France, and the Super Cup of Spain because there was Copa del Rey on, not the league matches. So let's start. In the EPL, on Friday we had Brighton against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace opened the scoring through Conor Gallagher, one of our own. And now in the 9 minutes of the match, Anderson unfortunately scored an own goal, and the match was 1-1. Nothing much to say about the match. Yeah, just one of those matches, and I think both the teams will be happy with 1 point here. Moving on, Brighton have Chelsea next time around. So, anything you'd like to talk about this match, Rahul?
again, Conor Gallagher just keeps on scoring. So, just waiting for him to come to Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. On Saturday, the lunchtime kickoff, Manchester City against Chelsea. So where do I start? Let me just get a few points out of the way. First things first, the common perception or belief is that City schooled us. And again, at least I am of the opinion that football has two aspects, attacking and defending. They did their share of attacking, and as far as I'm concerned, we defended very well. The only clear-cut chance that Grealish had in the first half was actually a mistake from Kovacic. So at the start of the second half, Kovacic again supplied supply ball to Lukaku, and when the games are this tight, we just have to take our chances. Going back to the first half again, Pulisic, Ziyech, and Lukaku. Um, it was not a lot of times that they had the ball, but unfortunately, whenever they did, they could not provide that killer pass, or they could not do anything with that position. Basically, either they were tactically fouled, or they overhit or underhit a pass and then gave the ball back to City. So underwhelming in terms of definitely the attacking threat, but our midfield, especially Kovacic again, Kante as well, they played well. The defense was strong as usual. Kepa played well. Again, something that does not surprise me at least anymore. He has been giving in performances after performances worthy of starting a Premier League match. And with Mendy away at AFCON, he got his opportunity and then he played well. Your views on the match, Ram?
Well, obviously, before, in the build up to the match, it was always how it's gonna go. Like for me, I would have taken a draw. I would have obviously taken a Chelsea victory, but there was also this thing in the back of my mind. Like if we lose, I just hope it's not a drubbing. Yeah. So losing 1-0 away to City is actually not a bad result in the grand scheme of things, because obviously, if we're not going to win the league this season, it's probably not going to be because of this game. I think the game that we lost at Stamford Bridge, that counts more. Other than that, obviously the draws at home to Everton, Burnley, United, Liverpool to a certain extent. But yeah, so they're 13 points ahead of us. Uh, we can probably overanalyze this in a way that we all knew that we needed a left back, and Amitabh also mentioned before in one of the previous episodes that even though we need a left back, but we all know for a fact that the left back will only arrive on the 30th of the 31st of January. So when the match started and I think Alonso was booked in the 6th or 7th minute, I was like, this is going to be a long day. So obviously it didn't really come to that. But again, I think Tuchel went, the thinking behind Tuchel's selection was selecting runners, which is why we didn't really see Mount in a way. It was Ziyech and Pulisic. There was no Jorginho either. Again, he started with Kovacic and Kante. But then I also understand why he selected Lukaku. Maybe he's not the biggest runner or the hardest runner of all the players that we have, but then maybe Tuchel's rationale was that we are not going to have a lot of chances, so we need our best finisher, so that if we get just one or two chances, we need someone who can finish those chances, which is why maybe he selected Lukaku. But then I think we spoke about this earlier, Amitabh, that when I was looking at that bench, I just didn't think like who is it that we can bring on if we're chasing a game in the 60th or the 65th minute. I'm not sure if I trust Howards. I'm not sure if I trust uh, Werner. I'm not sure if I trust Callum Hudson-Odoi. Plus, again, even if let's say someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to come on, then maybe it's going to be as a wing back. Uh, so I kind of feel like maybe we should have started with someone like Howards, who would have run his ass off till the 60th minute, and then brought on someone like Lukaku. If especially if the game plan was to frustrate City till the 60th or the 65th minute and then go for a winner. But yeah, I do feel like we need another striker. Like that is something that goes without saying. And the more I look at this game or Chelsea in general this season, I feel like someone like Armando Broja, who is excelling at Southampton, what a great addition he would be, because he's a typical uh, Tuchel player, someone who runs his heart out, and someone like him who has great pace on the counter against a team like City, against a team wherein we were not going to have a lot of possession. But again, uh, yeah, I mean, why talk about someone who's not at the club? But yeah, overall, not the best performance, but not the worst result.
Yeah, I kind of get what you tried to, hint at, Rahul, but I genuinely think that time is running out fast for someone like Havertz or Werner because they have been there for quite a while now. Of course, they have had their share of off-field problems, especially injuries and COVID and stuff like that. But somehow the image or the enigma that they had come in with, and they were going to make the change for us. Somehow it has not transpired, and a double whammy of sorts now is we can't go for more attacking players in the transfer market. I'm not saying we should, but the fact is we can't because we have so many players already. So maybe we'll have to sell before we can buy anyone. Um, okay, on the goal that De Bruyne scored on the 70th minute, okay, he took on a couple of players. He shoved off the challenge from Kante. He could have fallen down, could have gotten a free kick, but
Mhm.
we all know De Bruyne is a man possessed against Chelsea, and of course he has his reasons. So the shot was a good shot. If you watch closely at replays, Kepa was actually rod-footed. He took a step on the right, and I think that made the difference. But yeah, City won 1-0. One more thing that I'd like to talk about this match is, I mean, it is incomprehensible to me how City came away from that match without even a yellow card. I mean, the number of fouls that Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Cancelo, and especially that, uh,
The lunge.
if I can call that a stamp
Yeah.
on Pulisic. And as usual, the referees were too quick to wave it off. They just knew what had happened and they knew that they were on the right. It happens far too often in favor of City. And again, as an aggrieved fan, it happens far too often against us. Not saying that those things impacted the actual result of the match. No, no, no. But I mean, this is a trend that I've been observing for too long now, and the way they surround the referees, the way they get free kicks for soft fouls, and the kind of fouls they create, somehow that is like kept on, or play moved on. So again, one of those things that City is really good at. and other teams should learn. Nothing more to say about it. Yes, we are 13 points behind them now, and I think the title challenge was over a few weeks ago. But now we can formally say that it's done for this season at least. Um, yeah, we are fighting on other frontiers, so let's see how that pans out. Anything else you'd like to talk about the match? Tuchel actually called out Lukaku and his performance after the match in the press conference. So maybe it was an after effect of the Lukaku press conference a couple of weeks ago. But again, Tuchel has been someone who has been very honest before and after the match, even before the reverse fixture. He said that it was all his fault and he set up the team wrong and stuff like that. So again, media is trying to build stories out of this, but let's see how what team he picks first of all, and then how they perform in the next game against Brighton. I think we can move on.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the next match, Newcastle against Watford, one of those potential six pointers. Both the team languishing at the bottom of the table. So Newcastle opened the scoring in the second half with their talisman player Saint Maximin, 49th minute, and it almost looked like it would be the second win for Eddie Howe, but unfortunately it was not to be. João Pedro in the 87th minute, now quite late in the second half, he scored. I guess it was a header. So the match again ends in a stalemate, 1-1. I don't think this result does both the teams any good. Um, Obviously, Watford would be happier getting a point away at home, and I don't know. I don't know. They have brought in a few players. Wood played the match. Trippier played the match. They played well actually. So even now with 15, 16, 17 matches to go, we would still, I mean, have to say that Newcastle can get out of this. But again, Burnley have a lot of matches in hand. Not sure whether they'll take, full points out of those, but I think they have 3 or 4 matches in hand right now. So they are at the bottom of the table. Your views here, Rahul?
I mean, yeah, like you said, even though Burnley do have a lot of games in hand, but then at the same time, that also means that their fixture list will be even more congested now. So, do they have the squad to handle that? I'm not too sure. So, even another reason why Newcastle do have a better chance in these teams is because they have all the money. They've already made 2 signings, but they can still make more, which you can't really say about maybe a Watford or a Burnley. And even if they can, but then Newcastle have a better chance of making better signings because of the money that they have. But yeah, that's all I would say about it.
Yeah, the next match, which actually had huge ramifications on the managerial job of Rafa Benitez, um, Norwich against Everton. Everton lost 2-1. Um, Keane scored an own goal, and then it was followed by Ida in the 16th and 18th minute, respectively. Richarlison replied for Everton in the second half, 60th minute. So again, I mean, we had all actually touched upon this topic in our last podcast that time was wearing out for Benitez, and it just so happened that he was asked to leave. He was sad yesterday. So Everton looking for a new manager. They have actually been linked with their manager Roberto Martinez, who's currently managing Belgium. And Graham Potter is again one of the strong contenders. Somehow he gets linked with all the jobs, but he does not get the job. I don't know why. Um, yeah, Lampard's name has been thrown in the hat as well. So let's see how Everton manage to manage this. But since the new ownership has come, yes, they have had lofty ideas and dreams about how they want to play, but somehow I think the way the club has been managed has left a lot to be desired. Your views, Rahul, on the match and what happened afterwards?
But again, like yeah, I think if you're losing at home to Norwich, then and especially, I mean, if you lose to Norwich and it's like one loss out of many games, then it's okay. But then on the run that there are, I think in their last 12, 13, or 15 games, they've only managed one win, and that was the win against Arsenal. um, so yeah, uh, Norwich got the better of Everton. Having said that, I just have one question here. Um, why did Lucas Digne Lucas Digne leave Everton? I mean, he left because of Benitez, and Benitez was sacked after like a week after he
Yeah,
left.
I mean, this has been one of those things that I've read in reports and stuff. And of course, this is logical. I think they've sold another defender before him, 4 days ago or something like that. I read about two players. One of them were Digne and someone else. So they sold those players, and now they sack the manager as well. I mean, they don't bat the manager, get the players he wants, and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know what sort of how they want to run the club. See, I always say that money is not necessarily a good thing always, and because the way you manage your finances is a huge challenge. And some of these clubs who have been run well on a tight budget, somehow when they get this influx of cash, it takes them some time to know how to be mid-size or even a big club in terms of finances. Moving on, the late night kickoff, Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Now, I really think that Rabbit must be tearing his hair. I mean, he was so close, and yet so far, almost 75 minutes, and then they were 2-0 up, two goals from Bruno Fernandes. And he must be thinking, okay, this is 3 points in the bank, and let's go home. Away match at Villa. Villa played well, actually. Villa played well. They created a lot of chances. But Manu played well. They took their opportunity, and then they were in the game throughout. So can't really blame either side for trying. They were doing their level best. But 75 minutes in, and Gerrard made that substitution, getting his favorite player, his friend on Coutinho, and then he made the difference, provided one assist and then one goal, and then it ended 2-2. Uh, Again, Villa have been performing well from under Gerrard, and again with the signing, Digne also played. He played well. I watched parts of the match, and yes, he was always looking for an opportunity to canter forward. So he played well. And then again, it was on Saturday, and it was after our match against City, and I was just wondering, what if, quite frankly, what if we had gone in for him? But yeah, that I'm digressing here. So, um, yeah, a good result for Villa. And again, Ronaldo was out of the squad. I don't know. I think it was some muscle injury or something like that. So yeah, United are just so deep in the mire. I mean, nobody knows what is going to happen or even what they're going to do next. So for us, neutrals, yeah, this is a show that has been going on for 10 years now, and yeah, just enjoying the view, quite frankly. Your views on this matter?
Well, yeah, we actually predicted uh, Aston Villa to win. So obviously, like we both expected Aston Villa to put in a good performance at home, especially under Gerrard and especially against Gerrard's former or arch rivals Manchester United. Especially now, there was this added layer of Philippe Coutinho coming on as well. Uh, the other signing, Luca Digne, already starting the match. On top of that, obviously Ronaldo missing. So all these things did look, that did look favorable for an upset here. And obviously, we also mentioned that Aston Villa already managed to beat them once in the corresponding fixture at Old Trafford. So I so uh, can actually Ronaldo and Bruno play together for United? Because uh, from what I've noticed is that when they play together for United, both of them struggle. At least Bruno Fernandes struggles. But here, Ronaldo was missing, and all of a sudden, Bruno Fernandes scored a brace. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean, the same question has been asked of Cavani and Ronaldo. So yeah, maybe Radnik has to find a formation that he can incorporate all his star players. we have to wait and see for that.
Yeah. On top of that, I guess the goals that they scored, we did see. I mean, the first was actually a howler from Emi Martinez. On top of that, obviously, we actually saw a little bit of what Ragnick wants to do. But again, you can't do that pressing game for 90 minutes. It's not even Ragnick's fault or the players' fault. The players are just not used to that kind of a game. So we saw that game for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. They scored 2 goals, but then they got tired or maybe just couldn't continue to play that game. So it will take time. Maybe some players will get more fit. Some new players will come in. Some players will leave. So yes, it's not gonna be something that's gonna happen. That's gonna change overnight. But yeah, we can move on if we want. If you want.
Yeah, I mean, it is so difficult to, try and play with a new formation, with a new strategy midway through the
Yeah.
season. So let's see how United cope with this. On Sunday, Liverpool defeated Brentford 3-0. It actually took them a little while to open their account, with Fabinho scoring in the 44th minute. And then Oxlade-Chamberlain and Minamino scored in the 69th and 77th minute. Pretty run-of-the-mill victory for Liverpool. No scares as such, a routine home victory. Anything you'd like to add here, Rahul?
Yeah, it was Minamino's birthday, so he scored on his birthday.
Yeah, good for him. And then it was the Hammers against Leeds. Jack Harrison scored a hat trick, and
Yeah.
again, it's an open secret now that Leeds are my second favorite team. And since West Ham are there in the top four fight, and we did not get any points in the weekend, so was happy on two accounts. First, Leeds won, and then secondly, West Ham did not get any points. Now the match that did not happen, Tottenham against Arsenal. There have been a lot of discussion that what Arsenal are doing are within the rules, but again they are finding loopholes and taking advantages of the rule. I think that is something that all of us do in every walk of life, and the blame is more on the FA rather than any particular club. I mean, again, it sounds like sour grapes, but it actually is not. Our game against Wolves was not postponed because three or four of our players who were coming back from injury were deemed to be fit to play a Premier League match. And now Arsenal, in their request for postponement of this match, they actually said AFCON and injuries and COVID. But as per the rules, only COVID could have been a valid excuse. And then Spurs actually published a strong-worded presser, and they said that again the rules are ambiguous and nobody really knows how the FA are taking the decisions and stuff like that. Your views on this, Rahul? Whatever has been going on.
So I saw the video, from Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. And again, like, why talk about them? Like, even in Germany last weekend, Bayern Munich had to play a 16-year-old in their loss to uh, Mönchengladbach or yeah, Mönchengladbach. So, uh, and like you said, it's not just AFCON or injuries or COVID. It's actually so they had two more players earlier, uh, Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Balogun. So Maitland-Niles has gone on loan to Roma, and Balogun has joined Middlesbrough on loan. So even they're counting those two players as well. That they had these two players with them earlier, but now that they have left the club, so we don't have enough players. I mean, play the fucking academy players, right? Play Charlie Patino, the guy who came on in one of the Carabao Cup matches, so highly linked. I mean, yeah, I don't like it, but then again, at the same time, maybe like you said, everyone does that. It's just that it's just that it didn't happen with Chelsea. Maybe we have this thing. I mean, obviously, even we would not want if there was a way for, let's say, we were playing a game and we didn't have enough players or we didn't really have a good enough team to win the match. And if there was a way for that match to be postponed and that actually happened, then even I would be happy. I'm not going to deny that, but yes.
Yeah, again, see, again, I'm telling you, it is not about you and me and the coaches and the players and the teams. Of
Yeah,
course, everybody will be looking out for themselves. The fact is, again, it comes down. Initially, it was referee decisions. Now it is technology and stuff. It all boils down to consistency.
but then
Nobody actually knows how the rules are applied.
basis that logic. So what about the match against Liverpool? Now Uh, are you like? I would be even more surprised if all of a sudden this match was postponed and now they'll have enough players to play against Liverpool.
Exactly my point. That the whole coincidence of it is very it casts an aspersion, quite frankly. The way
Hmm.
Liverpool, the whole training setup was closed for 2 days, one day prior to the match and then on the day of the match. That's it. And then they said 13 false positive. Now I saw a video that the probability of one false positive is like quite low, and then to have
Yeah,
13
13.
actual it's yeah, so it's you have to divide it by 30. It's actually one by I don't know an astronomical number, and that is how they got it. And again, now you see in this scenario, the fact is Arsenal played with 10 men for 70 minutes against Liverpool on Thursday. Of course the recovery time was too less for them, and then all of a sudden, yeah, they can't compete, and they'll be all well and ready to go, raring to go for the semi-finals. 1 week break. And this is something that I'm sure Klopp will, bring up in his press conference prior to the match, and if somehow if Liverpool loses, definitely after the match.
Yeah,
So again, the way the rules are being misused and the way FA is handling the whole thing, that leaves a lot to be decided.
but
Okay,
yeah, like you said, it's again, it's not Arsenal's fault, right? It's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
authorities who should be keeping a closer check on this.
See, I always tell you this: the authorities that are running the sport, be it any sport, somehow they mismanage the whole thing. I am yet to see. I mean, of all the sports that I follow, and I follow quite a lot. Um, no, believe me, it's a circus everywhere. Okay, I think we have talked about the Premier League quite a bit today. Let's move on to the other European leagues. We start off with Bundesliga. So on Friday we had Dortmund against Freiburg, and yes, our man Haaland scored a couple of goals. We had discussed that he did not score for 2 matches, so he was back. Now, again at home, Dortmund were favorites and they won the match pretty convincingly. But it was after the match, in one of the interviews, that created, quite a bit of news. Um, One of the reporters asked him about his impending transfer, what will happen, and um, he said something along the lines that Dortmund are pressuring him to make a decision right now. And right now, he would just like to concentrate on football and he would like to make that decision in the summer break.
Mhm.
So that was picked up. And then on Sunday, Dortmund responded that, yes, we understand where he's coming from, but we have to look out for our interests as well, and then something like that. So there was a little bit, back and forth. Um, Maybe this will gather steam. We have 14 days. We have a couple of weeks now. So I think Dortmund are trying to, push him into a decision, maybe get him to sign a new contract so that he can go for a lot more than 75 million. And that is in his contract right now. So Rahul, your views on the match and what happened afterwards?
So yeah, in fact, just to add on to what you said about Haaland, I think there's one more line that he said. He said that they want me to decide now, so I will decide now. um, and yeah, so the biggest surprise to me was obviously Haaland scored a brace, which is okay. Dahoud, who's also been on a goal scoring form, he also scored another goal. The biggest surprise was that Thomas Meunier, the Belgian right back, he scored 2 goals. He's the one who opened the scoring, and the worst part is that they were both similar goals. Goals from a set piece, he scored from a header. So you would expect that once he scored the once he scored 1 goal, maybe on the second chance, uh, private players will pay more attention to him. But then again, even in the second try, it was similar result. And yeah, so I'm more surprised that Munir got a brace as well. Something that doesn't really happen. But then Haaland was like, enough is enough. I have to score. I'm already on a two game uh, streak of not scoring goals. So yeah, it didn't really extend to three, his longest streak of not scoring goals. So yeah, finally Haaland took chances, took uh, things in his own hands, scored a brace. Yeah, 5-1. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the next game on Saturday, we had FC Cologne against Bayern Munich. So there were two records in this match. Lewandowski scored a hat trick. No, that was not a record. He scored his 300th goal in the Bundesliga, and Bayern Munich scored for a record 66th consecutive game. Okay, I think we can forget that blip now. What happened against
Mönchengladbach.
Gladbach a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, when the team is fit, I don't see any competition for Bayern Munich. It was a good week for all of us to think that there might be some competition in Bundesliga, but come on, actually there can't be until unless Bayern Munich are in the form that they are. They have the resources that they have the business plan, they have that fire to win, weaken their opponents at the same time. So yeah, Bayern back in form, 4-0 against Cologne. Rahul, your views?
I mean, yeah, we just knew that it's gonna be a difficult match for Cologne, especially because it's not just a Bayern Munich that they're playing; it's a wounded Bayern Munich that they're playing. Team that was humiliated at home. So yes, we knew that irrespective of whether their players are back from COVID or not, whoever is going to play this game, that team is going to be so motivated to tear apart Cologne, and that's what happened. Like you mentioned, the Cologne were actually not. It's not like they were languishing in the table. They were actually sixth as well before this game started. So yeah, it didn't really matter to Bayern Munich. Um, I mean, yeah, not really too much to read into this except for the stats. He scored his 300 goal. He scored with a hat trick. So yeah. Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question and comparison? Like
Yes.
Benzema or Lewandowski?
I see personally, I don't like comparisons, but now that you've asked me, Benzema. And my logic for that would be I think Benzema has done it against better opponents. And he does it consistently at the national level as well. Lewandowski, of course, he has a great pedigree in Champions League as well, but against Dortmund, and predominantly his goals have come for Bayern Munich, and yeah, see, taking nothing away from Lewandowski, it is not an easy decision, but again, Benzema is just a notch superior, at least in my opinion.
Okay,
So since you asked that question, what do you think?
Benzema. So my logic is, who is more important to their teams? Like for Real Madrid, Benzema has been carrying Real Madrid. If you take Benzema out of Real Madrid, they are a different side. However, uh, Bayern Munich, I feel like they can still manage in a way without Lewandowski, but Real cannot do that without Benzema.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on, Leipzig actually won on the road against Stuttgart
Yeah,
2-0. Andre Silva and Christoph and Kuku
Nkunku. Mhm.
scored 2 goals. Yeah, so a good change of fortune for them on the road, Rahul.
Yeah,
They have not been doing well on the road,
mhm.
and yeah, they finally get a win.
Yeah.
Views on the match?
So they're unbeaten in 2022 ever since they came back from the winter break. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe the fact that they've had a winter break and maybe now Dominic Tedesco had some time, on the training pitch with the players. So maybe we'll actually see an improvement. Maybe we'll not see them being so inconsistent like they were earlier. I mean, if they can actually, because right now they're not even in the top three, and they're at least the third best team in Germany. So if they finish anything below third, then yes, it's not. They've not been able to achieve their targets, in my opinion. But I just hope that we just don't jinx it. Like right now, we're appreciating them, and in the next game they go back to their old ways. Because I actually saw their match, and I actually saw the team. It was really nice. Like a lot of these players, maybe who were injured earlier or out with COVID, so they were actually almost back to full strength. I mean, there were still so many players who did not even start. I think Danny Olmo didn't start, so both Lai didn't start. So yeah, I mean, really hope that it stays this way. They are a very exciting side to watch, Nigel.
Okay. finally, we had Gladbach against Leverkusen. Leverkusen won the match away from home with Andret and Patrick Schick scoring 2 goals. Alvedi scored for Gladbach. So, did you see this result coming, Rahul?
Uh, and you have, first of all, before I answer that question, I just want to tell you that it could have been actually more. Jan Sommer actually saved 2 penalties.
Okay.
So yeah, Jan Sommer was actually the man of the match in a way. He scored 2 penalties. He's got a knack for doing this. Um, but yes, Mönchengladbach, I know they got a freak of a result against Bayern Munich, but if you do not take that game into account, then to be honest, they're actually on a very poor run of form. Uh, so I'm and in fact I think we also predicted them to lose, if I'm not wrong. So we did see this coming in a way.
I don't take our predictions seriously. I don't remember, frankly.
But yes, it's like anyone could have, gotten away with it. Like that's how it is with these two teams. Leverkusen, at least under the new manager, they've shown a little more pedigree this season. I'm not really sure of the manager's name, but yeah, it's the manager who used to manage uh, young boys, I think, the Swiss team.
Mhm.
But yes, they do have. I'm not really sure if Adi Hooter, if I'm not wrong, he's the manager of Mönchengladbach. He has been a good signing or a hiring for them. So again, it's like things need to change. Again, like we talked about Leipzig. I mean, it's just too easy at times, and sometimes I feel like this team is third in the table, fourth in the table, so maybe this team is good. But what if uh, they're also bad, and the best of those teams is third? But that's like not an achievement. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I just
Yeah,
get
I mean
really disappointed
sometimes
at times.
when you compare them to Bayern Munich, the gulf is so wide, so large. But yeah, this happens. See, I see a lot of teams in Bundesliga in transition right now. So of course they're trying to find out how they'll take the club forward with new coaches, new players. Patrick Schick, if I remember, he had a pretty decent Euros,
Hmm.
but I have not been hearing him being linked with any of the clubs. Does he have a really long contract or something like that?
I think he was being linked to West Ham, if I'm not wrong. I think even in this January, West
Okay.
Ham wanted to sign him. But yes, uh, he signed at the beginning of last season. He was at RB Leipzig. He was at RB Leipzig, I think, on loan from AS Roma. So
Okay.
yes, he last season joined. Uh, I mean, he probably, in my opinion, could have actually stayed at Leipzig because back then even
Yeah.
Werner left. So he would have actually gotten a lot more opportunity to play at Leipzig, but then he didn't want to stay at Leipzig. He instead went to Bayer Leverkusen. Um, and again, as in a way, a replacement for Kai Havertz. So I think he's a perfectly good striker. But yes, these teams, they just need to be a little more consistent, I guess. I mean, maybe you're right. We are just comparing them with Bayern, or maybe because Bayern are the benchmark. But yeah,
Yeah, I think since again a lot of the clubs, a lot of the leagues do not you know um, distribute the sponsorship money equally like it is done in the Premier League, and especially with COVID for the past couple of years, I think all the finances of all these clubs have taken a hit, and yeah, maybe that is a reason the quality of players have dropped or something like that. So because I remember that especially the German clubs depend a lot on their match day revenue. So I mean all clubs do, but yeah, maybe it is one of the reasons. Okay, moving ahead, the lead PSG had a pretty standard 2-0 win against Brest. Mbappe and Ferrer scored. Again, one of those foregone conclusions. I think we are all waiting for PSG against Real Madrid, to be honest. I think the home league is done and dusted. Barring a huge miracle. I mean, miracle of ginormous proportions. Because the Chase Pack have to win all the games, and PSG I think have to lose four or five, at least four games. Not really seeing that happening. Your views on this match now?
I mean, yeah, what more would you expect? From PSG taking on Brest. I think they were still without Neymar, who's injured. But then again, like this match did not really need their best players, and even if they had played an underwhelming side, they would have still managed to get a result. Um, just give me 1 second. Let me just check something. Yeah. So I think on top of that, they actually had a favorable result. Marseille drew at home to Lille. So both their chasing opponents drop points. So yeah, even without doing anything.
Yeah, I mean they did win. It was not without doing it, but yeah, their lead at the top has just widened. Okay, so there were no La Liga matches. We had the Copa del Rey, but we did have the Super Cup match at Riyadh, Athletic Bilbao against Real Madrid. Um, Again, it went along pretty much expected lines. Modric started the scoring with a beautiful twirler of a kick from the edge of the penalty box. And in the second half, surprise, Real Madrid get a penalty kick. Uh, Again, it was such a soft penalty, man. I mean, even they should be, at times they have to, I mean, I can't say ashamed because why would you be ashamed? But they have to be, at least be sheepish in their disposition. I mean, even they know it's not a penalty. Whatever, I mean, a minor tug here or there, it is a contact sport at the end of the day. And I mean, and that was the funny part was he actually went to the TV to see replays on the monitor, and then he decided it should be open. Oh my God. Pretty shambolic, I must say, pretty shambolic. But not saying that that really tilted the scales in favor of Madrid. They were far superior against Bilbao, and yes, they maybe the defeat they had in last season in the same tournament that had a bearing on them. But yeah, the experience and the winning mentality just shown through. And yeah, Real Madrid are your Super Cup champions for 2022. Your views, Rahul?
I mean, obviously, on top of that, Thibaut Courtois actually saved the penalty as well from Raul Garcia. So either way, I think they were the better side. Like there's no two ways about that. Other than that, I think Luka Modric, 36 years old, still getting the job done, especially in big games. There's one more talking point, which is I saw a photo today wherein the Real Madrid players celebrating, they're lifting the trophy, and then we see our former player Eden Hazard with an expressionless face.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he made a mistake, man. He made a mistake. I mean, his transfer did help us buy some players, but the fact is, even those players are not firing, so it would have been better had he only stayed. Um, I again, I think we've talked about this. I think he'll be back in some sort of a capacity before his playing days are over to Chelsea. And about Modric, yeah, I mean, there was so much fanfare and media attention towards the Bale transfer, and compared to that, this was a much subdued transaction. But my God, what a player he has been for them. I mean,
Yeah,
he has controlled their midfield for close to a decade now.
yeah.
Absolutely superlative performance. And yeah, I think this is his last year of contract with
So
Madrid.
they're going to extend it till 2023.
Oh, they're going to extend it. Okay. So again, man for man in terms of experience, in terms of again winning, Madrid were they were always better on paper and of course per the performance as well. So yeah, I think Madrid are your champions. Nothing much really to add there. I think with that we come to the end of this podcast. Yeah. Okay, we'll be back with our midweek preview of the and the La Liga review soon. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Take care. Bye
All right,
bye.
guys. Yeah.